There's a reason why this lake is called this way. There are many legends, myths, paranormal, and even people's deaths related to it. Geographically, it's located very close to the main Catholic Church of Latvia. Welcome! This is the story of Vēlnezers, Čertoks, or Devil's Lake. Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, I suggest you stick around because today's story, this is really crazy and this is not an invention. This place actually exists. And yes, we are moving to my homeland Latvia because you asked for it. So here we are. Today's video, oh well, I hope you are prepared for a good dose of mysteries, legends, and some crazy theories. Grab yourself some snacks, some drinks, cause we are moving to the Devil's Lake, baby. Devil's Lake, in fact, is one of the most notorious lakes of Latvia, although not so much is known about it, and it's actually not so popular. I mean, it's not gone viral as, for example, the Baltic Sea anomaly that I was covering in one of my videos on my channel. We'll link that below in case you skipped it. People are suggested not to swim there because there will be consequences, and those who believe in paranormal think that all the devilish and negative energies and powers reside in this lake and around this area. Before we jump into the crazy story of Devil's Lake, we have to look a little bit into the area where it's located. And we are moving to the part of Latvia that is highly associated with Catholics. The name of the place is Aglona, and it's located on the eastern part of Latvia in the historical region called Latgale, which in general is called the land of blue lakes because there are a lot of beautiful, spectacular lakes in that area. And I mean, if you're going on a trip to Latvia, you should definitely visit that area, go like on a road trip and see all of those lakes, go camping, and it will be just amazing. Aglona is the most important place for Catholics of Latvia, and what makes it so important is the Basilicum of Assumption, which is the most important Catholic church in the country. Monastery and the church was founded by a Dominican order in the 18th century. It attracts tens of thousands of pilgrims every year on the day of the Assumption of Mary, the August 15th, and as well as Pentecost. The historic icon of the Aglona Mother of God is considered miraculous and has long been an object of large respect. In the year 1980, the church was celebrating its 200th birthday, and it was officially given the title or status of minor basilica, and this status was given by the Pope John Paul II. And in fact, he also visited this basilica in the year 1993 by himself, and on that day, around 300,000 pilgrims were visiting this church. And what is more, Pope Francis also visited this church. It was in the year 2018. Now you must now be thinking, Gita, why are you even telling me about the churches? We're here to listen about the Devil's Lake. Well, hear this. This Devil's Lake is literally located in Aglona's parish, which is close by to this place that is associated purely with Catholics in Latvia. Coincidence or not, related or not, judge yourselves, just continue watching the video and I guess you will get the idea about this mystery place. Devil's Lake is also called Čertok, which is, I guess, from the local dialect, the Latgalian, or maybe it comes from Russian, I don't know, because Chort in Russian is devil. This lake has a very interesting shape. Like most of the lakes usually have somewhat like a round shape. This one has a triangular shape. And the nature around it, it's simply spectacular. The water is beautiful, like everything around is so beautiful, yet people cannot simply enjoy it, and they cannot explain why. Now, Latvians are famous for their folklore. We have different tales, stories, songs. I mean, in general, Latvians were documenting everything that they were experiencing and seeing in the folklore. But there is nothing about Devil's Lake. as if it didn't exist, or they wanted it to make to look like it doesn't exist because it was so devilish. But I mean, we still have these legends that have survived, I guess, from the families and people living in the surrounding area, because these guys apparently saw and witnessed some weird stuff happening there. The lake seems to have zero living beings in the water and also in the surrounding area. There are no fish. There are no animals. You will not hear birds chirping, as if they're just standing away from that place, whatever is the reason. I watched recently a video on YouTube where there were some brave, I guess they were Latvian guys, and they decided to dive into that lake just to see what's at the bottom, if the legend about there being no fish and animals is true. And what they saw there was literally zero fish. Well, at one point they did actually see a couple of lizards and toads, but the most part of them were already dead, just like floating dead bodies on the bottom of this lake. And there are also no aquatic plants at the bottom. It was just like, you know, like the sand, this thick sand, and some fallen trees just drifting there or staying there, some old roots. So basically completely dead. However, some people did say that they have spotted some snakes around in that area, and those snakes looked really weird. Allegedly, they were transparent. Wow. Creepy. One of the things that people notice who are visiting this place is the water. So the water color is very different from like a typical lake in Latvia. It is described as greenish, bright greenish, and it changes its color quite often. And actually, I read somewhere in one sources it was said that this is the clearest lake of Latvia, so you can actually see in the water until like 12 meters down there. So it is really clear. Now, these were just the general things that I wanted to describe you about the lake so that you get the idea. And of course, if you say all of these things that I just told you, you will start to invent some kind of stories that would justify the things that I just mentioned. And this is how all of the legends and the myths about the Devil's Lake started. So let's get into it. As I already mentioned, people are forbidden to swim there. But of course, when something is forbidden, you just want to do it more and more. Hence the video that I mentioned with some divers who actually went down there to inspect the bottom of the lake. So according to the legends, people who do go and swim in Devil's Lake afterwards get sick or even die. Also, it's alleged that Devil himself is in charge of the lake. So quite many times when people are trying to swim in the lake, they feel like this kind of energy pulling them down, as if something is trying to drown them. Important is also to mention that nobody has managed to swim over the lake, so from one shore to another shore. And it has been said that those people who have tried to do that actually always drown. And what is interesting, they are later found dead in a completely different place, not in the lake, not on the shore of the lake, but we will get to that a little bit later. That's even crazier story. And I guess it's also related to the fact that nobody has actually inspected the central part of the lake. We don't know what's there. And I guess this is why this energy or something that is there is preventing people to cross the lake, because they don't even get to the center. There is some kind of secret, as people say. Another interesting myth about this lake is, well, if you have decided to swim there, that one of the consequences could be, number one, you will get very hairy, or number two, you will lose all your hair. And also, okay, if it happens that you come out and you still feel okay, your health is normal, you haven't died, and your hair is in your place, then most probably you're gonna be possessed by devils or evil spirits until the end of your life. Needless to say that all of the people who have stepped into the waters of Devil's Lake or have swum there are suggested to go to church immediately, because that's going to help to clean them from all of the devilish energies they have received from visiting that place. Another interesting thing about this lake is that it has been alleged that it has a double bottom. So basically what we are seeing down there is just the first layer, and underneath that there's even more. And remember I said I watched the video with the divers. It was kind of partially confirmed by them, because he said that you cannot actually stay on it on the bottom part, because it just goes deeper and deeper, as if the sand can go deeper, like something weird is there. Now let's get back to the story of the people who tried to swim over the lake and died while doing that. There is this very interesting theory, and I think it could be also legit, considering the fact that I told you about this mysterious lake bottom. So there is a theory that there is some kind of underground tunnel under this lake's bottom, because the people who tried to swim over the lake, they were later on found dead in another lake, which is located nearby this devil lake. You see, there is another lake nearby called Jasinka, and that's a normal lake. But all of the bodies of the people who tried to swim over Devil's Lake were later found in this Jasinka lake. And since the central part of Devil's Lake is not investigated properly, people started to assume that there might be some kind of tunnel that links Devil's Lake to Jasinka lake. And this is how all of the dead bodies later on were found in Jasinka lake. And I think this theory is one of the most curious and interesting ones. I mean, if there is a tunnel, maybe there's even more, and maybe Devil's Lake is linked even to some other things in the area, or maybe even further, I don't know, or maybe even deeper in the ground. Like, this is so exciting. There are no people actually living nearby this area of this lake, and those who have tried sooner or later have moved away. You see, during the night, it's alleged that you can hear some noises, some voices, sobbing, screaming. Also, people have reported that they have seen ghosts, like a ghost of a horse, of people or cars. People also have reported that when they go for a walk around the area, because it is allowed, they're even they have made some paths so people can just go and enjoy the nature, because the view is spectacular, let's be honest. So when they walk there, they sometimes say that they get lost and it feels like they are bound to the lake. They cannot get away, as if they're just walking, trying to get away, but it just pulls them back, and this is why they're lost. Or people just simply quite frequently get lost in the surrounding woods, as if this energy coming from the lake is holding them nearby or trying to suck them in. Maybe this might be the case of some kind of another dimension, I don't know, but that's what has been reported from the people who have visited this place. Or maybe, and this is just what I just thought, this is my invention, but I assume I'm not the only one who thought about this. Maybe this lake is kind of evaporating something out of the water, out of the bottom of the water, that makes people hallucinate. That could also be an option, but of course, there has not been any research about that. But if we look even further into the anomalies of the area, the typical one: electronic devices do not work properly or fail to work when you are there. So people have been telling that their mobile phones are not working, electronics is failing, and even the couple of researchers who have, as I read, done the research in this lake, they said that their technology was also not working properly. So this is a thing, I guess, that I'm mentioning, if not in each and every video, then in every second for sure. This is very related to paranormal anomalies and even extraterrestrial. That being said, I went to a couple of websites like TripAdvisor and many others where people were writing their reviews about visiting this place. And what I came across was that People said that although the nature is beautiful and it's really silent, like as I mentioned, no animals, no birds, they have this sense that somebody is watching them. And I'm not exaggerating. Almost every second person says that they have this feeling that somebody's watching them. And even those guys who went down to the bottom of the lake to do their research, to see what is there, they said that even there, under the water, they have a sense that somebody's close by looking at them. Creepy! And get this. So again, those divers who went down there, they noticed this kind of like jelly thing that looked like caviar, but there's no fish. Maybe a couple of like lizards. But this guy, look at it. It looks so creepy. I don't know what it is. Guys, if you are some kind of biologist or something, maybe you can explain me, but it's gross. And how is it like thriving there under the water where everything is basically dead? One of the most common explanations for this lake and its appearance and all the mysteries happening around that is that at one point there was a meteorite that fell on that spot, and this is where the lake appeared afterwards. I mean, this really makes sense, although there has been no research about meteorites falling in that area. There has been no research about anything that would justify this theory about the meteorite that has fallen out there. But I do believe that this might be one of the explanations, and this might explain why all of the things are so weird around this lake and the area, because maybe this meteorite brought some kind of, bacteria or some kind of, substance that created all of this situation that we're having there, that nobody can actually live there, and people are most probably having hallucinations and this weird feeling. But then again, I was just thinking, if it was a meteorite, I guess in most cases, if a meteorite falls and if a lake forms in that spot, it usually has like a round shape, from the impact of meteorite. But this lake, as you remember, has a triangular shape. Maybe I don't know something. Well, I'm not claiming that I'm an expert in that topic, but I'm just like thinking out loud. And if we go further with this, talking about something falling from the sky, we should not also exclude extraterrestrial things falling from the sky. Maybe that's just an alien vehicle down there. I don't know. Remember again the story about Baltic Sea anomaly? Like pretty much the situation is the same. Like technologies are failing, and under the water, I guess that's the best place where you can hide something like an extraterrestrial vehicle. Maybe there was a lake even before, and this UFO just fell there, and now it stands there in the center, and nobody can literally get close to it. And that's the secret of the middle of the lake, huh? I could not find any like specific sources confirming it, like scientific articles or something, but there was one article that claimed that this area and the lake is in fact radioactive to a certain extent, and then the water contains mercury, which means this is the reason why living beings cannot live there, because it's poisonous. But again, as I said, just one article. There is no research that I can literally refer to, and this might also be just a part of the legend. Now, I want to get back a little bit again to those divers that I've been mentioning throughout the video, and there was one thing that this guy told after he came out of the lake. So he said that he felt like somewhere closer to the center, there is like a downfall of the bottom. And how he felt it, like he had this feeling that there might be actually some kind of like a crater in the center. So you go like normally to the bottom, and then abruptly there is a crater and it just takes you down there. That was what he told. Maybe this is the beginning of the tunnel that we already discussed. Maybe this is a place where an extraterrestrial vehicle is lying and giving out all of these weird energies from the materials that the vehicle is built from, or there's something else that we don't know. Now, this is, I guess, the most fairy tale-like legend or myth. So, of course, this is not confirmed, but well, I'm just gonna tell you for the sake of fun. Now, little history time. During the 19th century, the second largest city of Latvia, Daugavpils, was also the target of Napoleon and the French army, since Daugavpils was part of the Russian Empire. And Daugavpils is located, I believe, around 50 to 60 kilometers away from Aglona, where the Devil's Lake is located. Now, if you know history, if you don't know, little shortcut, Napoleon wanted to take over Russian Empire. He failed. There is a whole story about that. Go and do your research. But the fact is that he was allegedly like crossing or touching upon this Daugavpils area. Allegedly, according to the people's stories, he managed to hide some kind of treasures in that area. And that people say that this area was actually the Devil's Lake area, and maybe he put some kind of curse or knew about the properties of the Devil's Lake already then, and he hid his treasure in there. So somewhere there nearby the lake, there is Napoleon's treasure box. People, of course, do not literally believe that, but they do like to tell this story. And it's kind of funny. And I don't really believe that Napoleon was visiting Devil's Lake to bury some kind of treasures. What kind of treasures? Why there? I mean, nah. No, you're kidding me. I already mentioned that there is a problem with finding any like historical documentation about the Devil's Lake. Latvian folklore definitely doesn't mention it, but there's even more mystery around that. So during the Soviet times, allegedly, that's what the local people were recalling. So when you go to the school as a kid, you often get this task to, let's say, investigate a certain part of the area where you live, and then you create a story and tell about it at school. They were forbidden even to mention about Devil's Lake. They were forbidden to create a story about Devil's Lake. They were forbidden even to... It was like the forbidden topic, as if this lake didn't exist, but it was literally there and they lived there. But the most of the paranormal, mystical legends came out only at around 1990s, when some kind of businessman wanted to buy this lake and build a guest house there. I mean, the view is beautiful, as I already mentioned. And I guess this businessman noticed something there, saw something there, and this is why we don't have the guest house there. And I believe that maybe he was the one who came out with the facts that it is impossible to do anything there, that this place is mystical, magical, and this is where people picked up the story about it and started to speak about it on newspapers or websites. Although I don't think that this lake has enough coverage. I have seen that there have been some photographers going there to make pictures. There have been some like videos of amateurs going just to film for the sake of curiosity, but nothing like serious. So I think people should invest more time and money into investigating this miraculous lake. I mean, I would really like to know what is actually happening there, don't you? Since mid-1990s, the Devil's Lake is a protected nature reserve. Government institution responsible for maintaining and keeping woods and nature objects actually has put there a sign where it prohibits making fireplaces, barbecues. It's forbidden to make a camp and even to swim. So, I mean, what I can say at the end, just go and research it. I mean, we have the technologies now in the world, and why not invest it to solving the biggest mysteries of the world? How do you think, what is the secret of the Devil's Lake? I know that there is not so much information, but you can look on the internet. There's nothing more than I told you. There has not been like a proper research, and I think we need to do these researches to prove that these legends are BS or they're actually true. Because curious people like we cannot sleep when we know that something like this exists and we don't know the reason why it exists. And yes, at the end, I just want to tell you, I mean, we're all curious people, but there is some kind of limit of the things. I read that people are actually going there and throwing coins in the lake because they believe that if you throw a coin in Devil's Lake, your wishes will come true. Dude, it's called Devil's Lake. When you ask for a wish to someone that's related to devil or something negative, do you think everything will turn out very good? Yeah. I mean, people do not actually have brain. I am not superstitious, but I would be cautious with that. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this story. I mean, you really wanted to hear something about Latvia, so here it is. I have found also a couple of other things, like a wood that is very paranormal wood. Not very successful with those Latvian UFOs, but I will keep pushing. Yeah, that being said, let me know your theories, your thoughts. I will be very happy to know those. And hope you have a lovely day. See you next time.